Welcome back to the afternoon, and it's my pleasure to introduce our closing keynote. Mr. Andrew Orgel is the chairman and CEO of QOL Media, an emerging global transmedia company in the integrated quality of life sector. He's an industry leader with over 30 years of experience in the startup growth and leadership of successful industry-dominant consumer-driven media brands with global distribution, having strived to effectively bridge technology and consumer behavior. Andy was part of the startup executive teams at MTV, which I grew up with, Arts and Entertainment, Nickelodeon. Many of us, I think, are very familiar with these properties, the Movie Channel, CBS, FM National Sales, US West Interactive Video Enterprises, and The Box worldwide. Fortune called The Box one of the most fascinating ideas in the 90s. Andy was labeled by Success Magazine as the MTV mastermind and the man who made TV interactive. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to invite Andy to the stage to share his insights with us, and his title is 21st Century Digital Content Creation, 14 High-Tech Trends. Thank you, Andy, for being here.
Thank you. Hello. I'm sure many of you are exhausted by now and you want to go somewhere else, but take a deep breath and we'll go on a little bit of a journey together. I'll share a little bit about myself and what I've done and talk a little bit about what I've learned. And you need to understand that basically the person you're looking at is the media version of a computer nerd. That's exactly what I am. I've grown up with media, with entertainment, with television from the beginning. And I'll tell you a little bit how that happened. When I was 3 years old, my parents reminded me that I used to go into the bathroom and stand up on the sink with a tube of toothpaste and do toothpaste commercials into the mirror. And they thought that I was a mutant and there was something wrong with me, but in effect, I think that was the beginning of this long career in television and in media. I went on to high school, which had a 10-watt FM radio station, which I thought was pretty cool until people reminded me that light bulbs have a lot more than 10 watts. But it was a great training ground for me. I then went on to college, and I picked a college in upstate New York that specialized in communications, television, radio, media, and got my degree there. And was on the radio. I thought I was okay. I didn't think I was great. My wife came in as a freshman to that school when I graduated as a senior, and she heard one of my radio shows, and she said that I sucked. So that was the end of my radio career. That was obviously going nowhere. But I needed to find a job, and I panicked at the end of college like everybody does. And I managed to get to CBS, which was my dream job, in New York, and started there and spent the first 6 years out of college at CBS. I made $6,200 US dollars a year. It's basically all I needed. I lived at home. And it was fabulous, and I was filing logs and scripts and talking to angry radio affiliates. And then somebody told me that maybe you should get into sales. And I did that. So that was really my first initiation into selling. And what we did was we actually started up an FM radio advertising sales rep firm. So I went up and down Madison Avenue and begged people to buy spots on the CBS FM radio stations. Great training for later on as well. One day, a few people from CBS came in and said, we're leaving. I was wondering why they were telling me they were leaving for the day. And they said, no, we're leaving the company. And they were very high level, and I was very low level. And they said, we'd like you to come with us. I said, well, what would we be doing? And they said, well, we'll be starting a bunch of TV networks. And I said, I haven't done that since college. They said, you'll be fine. It's fine. So the plan was to start 5 networks for a company that was funded by Warner Communications and American Express. And Warner got into it because Atari was cannibalizing their Warner Music labels at the time. They were taking business away from themselves. And American Express wanted to get into the business of shopping, home shopping on television. But they realized they couldn't get a package to someone's home in less than 72 hours at that time, so they decided this was not a good business. So we launched the movie channel and then Nickelodeon and spent the next year trying to figure out how to launch a music channel. The good news was the programming was free, because what these were free promotional music videos from the record labels in the old days when there still were record labels. And that turned out to be great, and what I learned from that was how critically important audiences are, how really important audiences are. People say, well, why was MTV successful? Someone says, oh, it had a cool logo. And someone else said, oh, the music videos. The reason why MTV was successful, even though there's no M in MTV anymore, was because it knew its audience. It knew the youth market better than any other media company in the world. And that was a real education for me to really understand how important knowing the audience and the audience segments were. I left to help start up A&E Arts and Entertainment, again, funded by some large companies. Hearst Publishing, ABC, and NBC were all partners in the beginning of A&E. And I actually went through a reinvention of myself. Most of my friends would tell me today that I should reinvent myself again. I actually spent time in sales and marketing for a few years and then got into programming and production, which marketing people don't usually get to do. And what I learned is how to find really creative content, or how to create some of it, because we didn't have a lot. Most of what A&E was leftover BBC content, and they were the British dialect programming that no one could understand. And that's the programming that we had. Other than that, it was ballets. But they weren't the good ballets. They were the ballets no one heard of. So we had to come up with some really interesting, different ways of getting ratings and therefore getting advertisers. We started, as Hal mentioned, The Box, which was music videos by request. All music, all request. And the technology was a Pioneer 72 laser disc player. So you called a local phone number and you pressed a 3-digit code, and up came your video from a laser disc. A little outdated now. I then went to US West because I wanted to learn the phone business. I knew the telcos would be in our business, but I didn't know how, and I wanted to find out. So I spent a couple of years working with one of the large Bell operating companies, who gave my partner and I $75 million to start some new digital networks pretty early on. And they funded it and we managed it. And we created 3 networks, but they never saw the light of day because the phone companies never acted on their promise of delivering digital video channels to anybody. What I'm doing now is actually creating, I have energy for one more company. And what I see is, I see everything as personal media. I see everything as being media that's completely controlled by individuals. And one of the categories that, I look at categories, vertical lifestyle categories, where there's at least $500 billion US of spending a year, but no media company. If you think of the US, from my experience, and I said sports, you could name me a network. If I said news, if I said movies, if I said kids programming. But what are the areas that have huge consumer spending but no media brand? And there were 2. One of them was this quality of life category, personal growth, wellness, sustainability, which used to be thought of as pretty fluff, pretty soft categories, but it's a big part of everyone's lifestyle all around the world now. Sustainability of yourself, of the planet, social responsibility, corporate social responsibility, giving, philanthropy. But how can you create a brand in a really mass appeal way, something that's cool enough and hip enough and goes after a big audience? That's what we're doing. And the name of the company is QOL. I don't know what the name of the brand is going to be yet, but we're moving forward with that. So what I'm going to talk about is what's shaping my strategic thinking right now, this year, that can help my business next year when I intend to move forward with this company. Or another way of looking at it is, how do I improve business as the transformation and introspection of the year of the snake leads to the boundless energy and progress in the year of the horse? Well, that's how we Americans think of it. Here's what I've learned. As I said, everything for me is personal media and rain. That's some kind of sign, I guess. But really, we're controlling the media now. It's no longer left up to highly paid, overpaid television programming executives who get paid a lot of money, are given 2 years to do their thing, they fail, they're given a lot of severance to leave, and then they hire the next person. Now it's all in your hands and in our hands. But although the media is controlled by individuals, we're living in a global marketplace. I believe that content, that networks, that shows will become much more global in their distribution. I think language barriers will change. I think that although our cultures may be perceived as being different, and perhaps they are, there are basic things that everybody wants. There are universal values. Everybody wants love and wants to be loved. Everybody wants health. Everybody wants a place to live. Whether you have a toilet in your home or a roof over your head, everybody wants the same basic things. And I think that we're going to see this block between a lot of our countries go away. And I think we're really going to share content programs globally. I think advertisers and marketers, I'm in a really bad place. Okay, I'll try it over here. I think that advertisers and marketers are finally going to buy advertising for a global marketplace. And I think they're scared of it, but I think they know that it's inevitable. The media industry is struggling. It doesn't know how to deal with this new consumer. It doesn't know how to deal. Don't think that media companies here or in the US or in the UK or anywhere really know what to do with all of this. It's changing so much and changing so rapidly. Those of you who are students, one of the best things you can do is figure out how to go to a company and help it to exist in this struggling marketplace, especially if you can convince them to understand how social media can help them. So if you can move social media from a personal thing to show them how to use it in business, there's a really good opportunity for you there. The audience is in control. We have to know what sponsors and merchants want. The really smart media companies find out what their sources of revenue want up front, and that actually helps them create the programs that they put on. This is a big one. There's a lot of programming that gets produced. Now, when you think of content, think of it in a really broad way. It's not just one way, one type of content or another. Content in general, from a 30,000-foot view, if you don't know enough about your audience and what delivery systems they're using and what distribution channels you need to go after. That content can be the most brilliant program, show, app, for mobile, primarily for internet. But if you don't know the distribution channels that make sense for it, I talk to hundreds and hundreds of filmmakers every month, and they're so depressed because they made a great film, usually a documentary that is really meaningful, but they didn't think out, well, where's it going to go? How is it ever going to reach people? What should I have done when I produced it to make it better, to make it more appealing to somebody to put it on air or online? So that's really a big one, really, really important. Brands. Brands are important. Content brands, consumer brands. You may think of them as networks or channels, and that's part of it, but the big sweep right now is the understanding that people watch shows. They don't watch networks. So how do you brand a show to that target audience through those distribution channels? And how do you market to them? And that's a real challenge. And there's no one answer. You can't create technology in search of a market. A lot of people do. I am obviously not the technology expert, but I do talk to a lot of technology people who wonder why their fabulous technology isn't moving forward. Usually it's because the inventor or the founder never decides to step aside and doesn't realize that he or she is not the one to run the company. But there are other reasons as well. So just creating technology and not knowing where it's going is as bad as creating content and not knowing where it's going. Consumers go after content that feeds their passion. News, sports, music, movies, sex. They're all there. You look at the things that are passions, and that's where people want. So it's really important to understand what passions. By the way, the other category, if you're curious, that had a $500 billion plus in sales a year, but no media brand, is the casino lifestyle category. Not internet gaming, not betting on television or online, but the lifestyle, the food, the shows, the lifestyle around Las Vegas, Macau, places like that. And there are people trying to figure out what to do with that as well. I chose the quality of life category because I'm not a gambler. I gamble enough just being in this business and being married. A good indicator for developers, like some of you are, and producers, is where the money is being spent. So like I said, really to look at where people are spending their money and how do you go after creating content. Everything's multi-screen. We're not in the business of television or radio or mobile or internet anymore. That's not the business. The business is how do you take a story and how do you exploit it? How do you take it out there? And how do you put it on many distribution channels and monetize it through multiple revenue streams? So we're in the multi-screen business. We're in the business of dealing in entertainment, information, communication. You can read that as partly as social media, and transactional services, and you can think of that primarily as shopping or any kind of purchasing. So I look at it as 4 C's. It's content, it's context, it's community, and it's commerce. And those are the 4 ingredients of this business that we're in. So content is getting broader because of all the choices that we have. It's getting deeper because of the internet and mobile and the marriage of the internet and mobile. And it's getting more personal. Context, devices, and prices are getting smaller. Everything's getting faster, and everyone's on the go, and media people, for the most part, don't know what to do with all of that. Community, it's local, and it's global, and it's social. Social media, we throw that term around a lot, but everything about content is more social. And commerce. You heard today about big data. You heard about some things that really talk about targeting audience and how social media leads into social commerce. That through these social media platforms and people recommending products and companies to each other, what used to be a discovery is now leading to the term intent. Now there are companies that can take Twitter data and find out that you want to go to Hawaii. And it will take the email addresses of everyone who has tweeted with the word Hawaii. And if you're Hilton, you might even be able to get the fact that everyone who's going to Hawaii who mentioned the word Hilton I'm able to sell that to you. Privacy issues are really critically important. And the jury's out on where this is going to go. But everything's getting more targeted. And the consumers are connected. I guess my feeling is that we as an industry are not really very connected yet. So I thought of 14 trends for 2014. One of my friends in the UK told me anything over 5 they'll never remember. But I had to make it cute. So I picked 14. Number 1, behavioral targeting in the marketing moment is important. The marketing moment is that moment in time that a consumer is ready, willing, and able to spend money or watch a show or buy a product. And by finding that marketing moment, your business can thrive more. It's not easy. Takes a lot of work. Consumer media brands are what create value. So I talked about that, and that's a trend that's going to continue quite a bit, actually. Brands, whether they're internet brands or known as television brands, whatever you want to think of. Technology is, to me, the enabler. I have to be honest with you. I'm not thought of very highly in Silicon Valley because I don't worship everyone's technology. I think technology is critically important, and I wouldn't be in business without it, and I wouldn't be in business if I understand enough about how to change as technology changes, but I think content is the payback for the pipe. With all of this technology is out there, consumers find value in content. That's what they're willing to pay for. They expect the technology to work. I don't have to tell you this, you're way ahead of the United States with mobile technology. But everything is going mobile. TV and IP continue to merge and the experience becomes more seamless. Connected TV is big. How to get to smart TVs by the TV makers. How to get to the game console makers. How to get to the companies like Roku and Netflix. All of that connected TV. Connected TV delivery systems are looking for content, vertical plays for content. Social media and social commerce become the key marketing tools to drive the business model. So what I've learned is if I don't get to understand that well enough, I'm going to miss out. So I'm trying to. I'm not the expert, but I'm talking to people who are. Everything continues to integrate: content, distribution, brand marketing, production. I'm going to mention it a little bit later on, but if you want to see how marketing and programming and talent, celebrities in the mix can be integrated, probably the most recent example is the MTV Movie Awards from last weekend. Check it out. Look at how they integrated talent into it. Look at how they integrated brand advertising into the programs themselves. It was pretty clever. And you can think of your own examples. So, like I said before, another trend is realizing and figuring out how to deal with the fact that we're in the multi-screen entertainment information, communications and transaction services business, and we're building media marketing and merchandising services. That's what we do. I mean, in a really, you know, again, 30,000-foot view. The cloud. So complicated that it's easy to understand, and it's making it better, faster, and cheaper for us to use those systems to help us be more efficient in business. Everything is video now. Everything. Everything, everywhere, everyone is using video. In everything, in school, in business, everywhere. So understanding on what happens when you press that button and that video starts is really important. And the platforms are really become agnostic. I guess there are a lot of analogies to the electric company. The fact that we never really spend that much time thinking about how we get electricity. You know, maybe we used to more, but we just expect it all to work. We don't know really how unless you guys are smarter than I, but I just expect when I plug something in, it works. And I think that's where our business is heading as well. Transmedia, the story is critical. How to tell that story across different media, how to extend characters, how to use the internet and mobile for extensions to your story. Really, really important. We don't hear about this that much, but there's an increasing opportunity for out-of-home media. You know, out-of-home media, when I was younger, were billboards, and that was about it. But hotels, cruise ships, gas pumps, there are so many places where those video screens are with advertising and merchandising. So hotels, obviously bus sides, ballparks, there's more and more of that, and people expect that to become a bigger source of revenue for content companies. The age of personal media, it requires us to reshape our thinking about the relationship among developers, producers, marketers, distributors, and audience. And now's the time for us to figure out how to work better together and create content. I want to live in that country. And I say that my dream, I have been working on this quality of life media company for 12 years. And 12 years ago, I said, I want to launch in China and the US simultaneously. How do I do it? Because I don't know anyone in China and anyone in Hong Kong. But I just knew that that was the place where I wanted to do it. So if any of you introduce yourselves to me later on, now I'll be able to tell people I know people. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples. How am I doing on time? I'm okay? Okay. There's a company based in Santa Monica, California called Magnet. And the gentleman who runs it describes it as YouTube, Amazon, and Facebook rolled into one as a way of merchandisers. What he's done is shown how he can marry entertainment, content, with technology and merchandising, and entertain and sell all in one. And this is what he's come up with. He thought that it would primarily be geared towards musical artists, recording artists. but he found that other businesses like hotels, cruise lines, were really interested in this. So I'm going to show you a brief clip of what Magnet is, and I'm sure you know other companies like this. Take a look and see what you think.
Building online brand awareness. But in reality, it represents less than 5% of all online activity. Most of a user's time is actually spent surfing the web and discovering what interests them. We've developed an innovative new way to monetize discovery by allowing websites to dynamically insert interactive offers, called magnets, directly into web content, enabling a continuous user experience that never requires users to click off to another site. For example, when the user clicks the word D800, magnets come in the form of personalized offers that support all stages of the marketing funnel. Discovery comes in the form of web content like text, images, videos, web and mobile banner ads, Facebook posts, and tweets. Magnets can be distributed through all of these content types. Magnet is designed to enable publishers to engage customers in a multitude of offers. Engagement offers that let users take real-time polls and quizzes, watch high-quality promotional videos, participate in ratings and reviews, or acquisition-based offers like downloading coupons, entering into sweepstakes, or filling out forms to request more information. Transactional offers like purchasing the latest products, booking a hotel for their next trip, buying tickets to a show, and even giving back to a cause that they care about. Brands can encourage fans to like them by offering them a reward, such as a discount or sweepstakes entry. And fans can easily share with their friends, who are directed to the offer on the brand's Facebook page, thereby maintaining a continuous and integrated user experience. Advertisers can create simple, single promotional offers, or guide customers through a linear experience, offering promotions one after the other. What is typically a one-dimensional advertising experience becomes a rich, interactive experience that drives user engagement. Or even let the customer decide, by letting them choose the offer that best suits their interests or needs. The options here are endless, and the insight around performance of a particular magnet series will revolutionize ad optimization. Magnet can recognize a customer and adapt itself based on their preferences, likes, location, and other demographics. For example, when Wei in Shanghai clicks on the word skincare, he sees a razor ad in his native Chinese language. However, when Candace from Chicago clicks on the same keyword, she sees an offer for a skin cream in English. Offers can even be personalized in real time, displaying such info as the customer's name, profile image, and location. And offer the most up-to-date, up-to-the-minute prices. Magnets can be viewed on mobile devices and be delivered through banner ads. Act as a bridge between the digital and physical worlds in the form of QR codes. Or be delivered through text messages. The world's first 360-degree advertising platform for the rest of the web. magnet.
So there's an example of someone who's moving ahead in this area. How many of you are familiar with Sumly, just from the news itself? It was an investment from China, I believe, in that. How many of you are not familiar with what it is? Good. Let's run it, okay? This is pretty brief. This is not entertainment, it's news.
So I'm on my iPhone, desperate for some good reading, and naturally, I'm inundated with information. Page after page of short links, tweets, long articles. I'm skimming all this content to see if it's relevant or just unrelated drivel.
We are inundated with drivel.
This is my friend Stephen.
Friend? Not mentor? Idol?
Stephen's tremendously good at cutting to the essence of things, and that's what I wanted to do with news. So I created a company called Sumly. You tell it your interest, and it shows you summarized content. But instead of just a headline, Sumly gives you 400 characters. That's more than a tweet, but less than a full article. It identifies key points that matter most and summarizes them for you in just a handful of sentences.
Get just the sentences that matter most.
You'll know at a glance if it's what you want. Just swipe down or pinch to read the full story. Double tap for a more detailed summary. Or maybe the short summary is all you need. Sumly's great at knowing what's relevant. Instead of a robotic, linear algorithm, Sumly uses a genetic algorithm to mimic how a human actually thinks, using organic metrics to extract the most critical components of...
Sumly thinks like you, not a robot.
Exactly, and it doesn't look like a robot either. Your summaries appear on a single screen with gorgeous photography. You can create a list of favorite topics and get notified when new summaries arrive. Manage results, add sources, share the good stuff with friends, to Facebook and the web, all with a touch.
Gorgeous stuff.
Before you know it, you're learning more, you're learning faster, you're getting information that's more meaningful, more valuable, and you're staying smart.
Nick, are you suggesting that Sumly makes you smarter?
I'm not legally allowed to make such claims, no.
Extraordinary.
Taking a look at some... you might want to take a look at it when you get a chance. It's a really cool story, but it's also a good tool. I put this up there just so that you know, Xfinity is a company in the US that combines voice, video, and data. It used to be known, and still is known as Comcast, but they have home services. I don't know how big home services are here, but the combination of alarm systems, of the ability to, I program my DVRs remotely when I forget that I may not have recorded a program just on my iPhone. So they're a good company to watch. There's a company out of Russia called Content Up, and in the interest of time, I'm just going to suggest that if you're interested, take a look at it. Content Up is a business-to-business marketplace for our industry. It's a way to post your content. It's a way to find content if you're looking for it for a production. It's a way to sell content if you're looking to sell that content. It's a way to find co-production partners who might share the same interests as you. The woman who put it together in Moscow has really gotten something that she got her first round of investment from a venture capital company there in Russia. It's really worth checking out. And I mentioned the MTV example before, so I'm not going to get into that again. I have one more video, and then I'm done. And really, Hal's to thank for this one. It's just an amazing way that somebody has taken tools and apps and created artistic content from individuals literally around the world.
This is Luke's Arumque, sung by the Virtual Choir.
Turn the volume down, I'm going to talk over it. So what you're seeing here are about 1,000 YouTube screens, real, of people around the world who have each sung a part of this classical work that he has written. We're going to jump ahead, and I'm going to show you version 2 that he did. And now version 3 is up to over 4,000 screens of YouTube performances. This is his second one. Pretty amazing. Thank you very much. We'll save the questions for the panel that we're doing right now. Thanks.